Hey guys, Marsning here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. So obviously we know, thanks to the V-Jump scans, I did a video about this the other day when the scans came out, that we are getting an Easy A for the physical LR Gogeta and the INT LR Vegito as the next part of the 7th anniversary on JP. We don't know any details yet about what their Easy A's are going to do or what the Extreme Z battle is going to be like. So the battle hour is today. Depending on what time this video goes up, it may be already going on or it may be starting in a little while. Obviously we don't know what they're going to reveal or tease for Dokkan. Maybe they will show the Easy A's for these guys, I'm not too sure. But obviously it's interesting to speculate about what they're going to do. So I didn't want to speculate too much about what the unit's Easy A kit is going to be like. I talked a little bit about that in my previous video, and I know my buddy Minato made a video like that. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, go and check out his video. I'll put a link in the description. But I wanted to speculate more about what their Extreme Z battles are going to be like. So obviously with the theme of the anniversary, one thing that has been mentioned already is the possibility that they could get a dual Easy A event like Gogeta and Omega and then the two gods. The two gods together makes sense, right? Because they do a lot of dual Goku and Vegeta events. The Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Omega 1 kind of took people by surprise by putting those two together. So there definitely is the possibility that they will put the two together. But we can talk about that a little bit more at the end. I wanted to talk about more if they got their own Extreme Z battles. What would the weaknesses potentially be? So we're going to start off with Gogeta. The one thing you have to remember about the LR Easy A's is they are only 10 stages. You don't get as much of a disadvantage for certain typings. Because obviously the stage is supposed to be a lot harder and they don't want to limit your team options too much, because whilst you do get a category that is beneficial, the main benefit for using the category units is that they take less damage. In order for you to do the optimal damage to the LR in the Easy A, you need to have the Link Legendary Power active. So obviously there's been some wonky ones in the past where there hasn't been a ton of really great LRs. But you have to think of it from the perspective of they're probably not going to pick a category that, has like no LRs or, only has INT LRs, for example, for the one against Gogeta. So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to speculate. Obviously, let me know your guys' opinions down below in the comment section what you think it's going to be. But I wanted to have a look at, so the existing ones we have the STR Gogeta one. His weakness was movie bosses. Then when they brought out the INT Gogeta one, they kept this as movie bosses as well. And then, of course, the only other Gogeta that has a separate Extreme Z battle at the moment is the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, but he shares that with Omega, and that one is Shadow Dragon Saga. So, basically, for most Easy A's, not just the LRs, although this isn't always the case, the weakness category is obviously normally themed around the person that they fight against. So, obviously, makes perfect sense for Gogeta to be against movie bosses, because he only exists in Dragon Ball canon, the Z Gogeta, for what, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, fighting against Janemba. So obviously movie bosses was the category that made sense for him out of all the categories that were out at the time. And then when Gogeta came out, we had like the physical Broly and a lot more physical units for the INT one. So movie bosses, I was thinking more around like what categories will we see basing it around Janemba. So I was looking at the LR Janemba. Now obviously he leads Corroded Body and Mind and movie bosses. So if we have a look at Corroded Body and Mind, obviously we have him as the leader. We also have the Tech Janemba. But other than that, like, that's it for the leaders, right? So one of the reasons why people found the mission for the GT Goku event so difficult when it first came out was because when that first came out, there was only Tech Janemba as the leader. And so if you didn't have him, it was really difficult to make that team. So now there's two leaders, but one of them's a summonable LR. So still a little bit difficult. And when we look at the LRs that are available, we obviously have Janemba himself. We have this free-to-play Zamasu Goku from the 5th anniversary. Very dated at this point. And then we have two INT LRs. The Rose can still be pretty good. Metal Cooler definitely needs an Easy A, which honestly I'm really looking forward to. I think he could be really good. And then we have Baby and Martian Vegeta. So Martian Vegeta obviously is better after his Easy A, but still not the greatest. And Baby is kind of at that point where he's aged a bit now so that he really needs an EZA for more difficult content. So the rest of the category does have some decent options, but I mean, just look how small it is, right? Like STR Margin Vegeta would be okay, STR Janemba would be okay, STR Rose really needs an EZA as well, but I mean, he might survive, you know, the first few turns and provide some decent support. And then you have units like the Super Saiyan 2 Goku, Marseillan, this baby Janemba would obviously be really good. There's a few good units on here, but of course in an LR EZA, like I already said, you need to have legendary power if you want to be doing damage. So I don't know if they will pick a category necessarily that does not have a lot of optimal LRs for fighting that particular enemy. So having another look at Janemba and looking at the categories, Exploding Rage seems a little bit unlikely, especially because some of the other Janembas aren't even on it. So then, of course, I thought about Accelerated Battle. And when we look at Accelerated Battle, the leader that is an LR is an Extreme STR LR. So perfect to lead an LR EZA against a physical unit. And then, of course, the other leader is the TUR Goku, because, like I said at the start, LR EZAs don't really give you, like, a massive damage reduction against a certain typing, because they're obviously a lot harder, they're a bit more limited on team building. So, you know, this Goku would be a really good stand-in leader as well, and, you know, he's a really good unit in general. And then, of course, that means when we have a look down at the LRs, like the Part 2 LRs that just came out are both on here. So Goku would be really good. And then, of course, Goku and Vegeta here, STR UI. 1000, I mean, if you've got the EZA, 2000 Day Spirit Bomb Goku would be really good in an EZA for all the healing and stuff. And then, of course, the LR Super Saiyan 4s are on here. Version Z Goku is on here. So for an LR EZA, you could make a really, really good team out of Accelerated Battle that has a lot of really strong LRs on the team. And then, of course, if you need to fill the rest of the team, like to fill the rest of the bench, there's a lot of really, really good TURs on here as well. Even units like God Goku, who after his EZA, even though here you wouldn't be fighting a movie boss or a Pure Saiyan, is still very, very strong defensively post-EZA. Same for Tech Gogeta, who would be nuts here with his ridiculous defense, 70% chance to counter super attacks. And then, of course, looking at some of the STRs, because obviously we're fighting a physical enemy, Goku's super good and tanky, as long as you have a lot of other heroes, allies. But even by himself, he's still very solid. EZA Super Saiyan 4 Goku, obviously, very, very good. So yeah, this category looks very strong. Kid Buu is on here as well. So bear in mind, the Kid Buu and the Goku also have that Battle of Fate leader skill, so there's a lot of crossover there. This STR Cell is on here, who's really good. Obviously, STR Janemba again. STR Hit, the extreme 50% support is on here. So yeah, this category would be absolutely perfect to be the weakness category for physical Gogeta if it was going to be two separate Extreme Z battles. So moving on to Vegito, our boy, he is INT. So obviously a big one springs to mind. When we look at his previous Extreme Z battle, we only really have this one for the Z Vegito, the AGL one, because the physical one has not got his yet. Be interesting to see if the physical one follows suit with the Gogeta ones and just has transformation boost as the weakness again, which would be crazy, because Extreme STR team led by Cooler with like transformation boost would just be, you know, he'd get crushed. But you know, transformation boost, we didn't have any of the other crazy categories for the boos really out at the time. And then the only other Vegito is Vegito Blue, and his weakness is Time Travelers, because again, that just ties into who he fights in the anime, because, you know, Goku Black and Zamasus, they're all on Time Travelers. So when it comes to Vegito, especially because he's INT, the number one, like, physical LR enemy that stands out is our boy, one of my favorite LRs, super underrated, I think, is the LR Bootanks. So LR Bootanks, really, really good LR, has type advantage over Vegito, so it makes perfect sense to pick his categories for the EZA. So if we look at margin power and power absorption, so margin power is very lacking on LRs. It's literally Bootanks and then Marjube. And then as you can see, like, the category's not exactly big. Now, if you have all of these units, you can literally make a mono physical margin power team. But, you know, that team's going to be pretty lame, because some of these units, I'm looking at you two specifically, are not very good. When it comes to other units, like this Janembu, as soon as he gets a dodge, he guards. This guy dodges and has ridiculously good defense for 8 turns, so he's really good for EZAs. This guy supports and dodges, so he can be pretty good. Exchange Boo, not so much in shorter events. Tech Super Boo with his laughable Easy A, probably not that great, especially because you're against an int enemy. This guy's a super good support. Kid Boo's on here, of course, and then like 21 with her Easy A is pretty good. So the category's okay, but for an LR Easy A, where the main damage weakness is legendary power, maybe doesn't seem like this would be the best one. So when we look at power absorption, the only real extras we're getting here is a couple of cells and then the LR Android, Super Android 17. But he has type disadvantage. So even though he builds up damage reduction over time, like he could quite easily get blasted by a super attack on turn 1. And then he's going to take tons of damage. The Easy A AGL Super 17 would obviously fare better because he doesn't have type disadvantage. Android 19 and 20 obviously be very good. When we look at the STR units, this cell is really good. And then the rest of them are just kind of units that are on here already. Physical Omega obviously has his Easy A already for JP, so he would be pretty good. This Mira is kind of slept on. He's not the greatest unit, but he's decent. I think when he gets an Easy A, he will be actually quite busted. But again, this category doesn't really have a lot of LRs on it, right? And the main weakness, legendary power. So I had a look at some of the other categories that Boo tanks are on. One of them is Sworn Enemies. So again, not a huge pool of LRs, but this gives us access to LR Full Power Frieza, who's still one of the more powerful units in the game. And then, of course, he has his support buddy, the Third Form Frieza, is on that team as well. We also have the STR Prime Battle Frieza, who is pretty good. Int Cell is still okay and has that clutch heal that can get you out of some bad situations. And then when we look at the TURs, like the Golden Friezas are on here, so really, really good for tanking. This Frieza is unfortunately not very good when you're not fighting a Goku family enemy. And then STR, the Kid Boo's on here, so he's pretty solid. Physical, where we're going to have the type advantage. The Angel Golden Frieza is on here. Well, the Transforming Angel Frieza is on here, who is pretty solid. The 50% physical support Boo is obviously on here. Other than that, like the rest of these physical units, not so great. This guy with his Easy A is okay. So Sworn Enemies maybe is an okay one, at least with some of the access to powerful units that we have, especially running like double Frieza leads, bring this guy along, and then bring like Boo Tanks and Kid Boo as a rotation as well. Could be pretty good. And then another newer category that he's on is Worldwide Chaos. Obviously, the only leader for this is the Tech Androids, and whilst they do have type disadvantage, they can use their active skill like Ghost Usher, because there's only one enemy, so it basically is a Ghost Usher against a single enemy. But again, this one, not exactly the craziest selection of LRs. We do have the Physical Cell, who's obviously going to have type advantage, so the rotation of him and the Int Cell together, especially with the big boost that they get from the Link level update, that rotation could actually be very good because you're going to have legendary power. This cell has type advantage. If you deliberately go for his 12 key, you can get a heal as well, which is quite nice. And then this free-to-play LR, the Majin Buu and Barbady are on here as well. So another decent LR that has type advantage. And of course, our boy Boo Tanks. Rose is, again, okay, but kind of lacks good support partners to make him really, really good. And then looking down here, again, Kid Boo's on this rotation. In terms of physical units, there's not really a huge amount of extras. If you are running the androids as the lead, obviously this Physical Future 17 is not the best unit in the world, but at least he has type advantage. So this category is kind of wonky as well. So honestly, for Vegito, I feel like it's not quite as clear a choice as the others. I wonder if they would just resort to Transformation Boost again, since it features all of the Boos and so many other units as well. Like, this would obviously be a very solid category to draw lots of units from, but would probably be disappointing if it was the same category all over again. And then if they were to have a joint Extreme Z battle, I feel like this one would be very difficult, because I tried to look at a couple of categories that could be good for an LR Easy A, and like Terrifying Conquerors is one that has a lot of LRs on it, but it doesn't have the Boo like Majin Buu, Super Buu, Buhan, or Janemba, so I don't feel like this would be a particularly good one. Accelerated Battle, which obviously, as we already said, has LR Janemba on it. It doesn't have any of the Boos other than Kid Boos, so it doesn't really tie in to Vegito very well at all. And then, of course, Battle of Fate is like the Kid Buu one, but then this doesn't have the Janembas on it, so it doesn't tie into Gogeta, and again, it's only the Kid Boos. so it doesn't really tie into Vegito. So even though we were saying it would be kind of disappointing if it was the same one repeated for a separate Vegito one, if it was a joint one, Transformation Boost, I think, is the only category that has Janemba and Butenks/Buhan on it. So if it was a joint one, it could be Transformation Boost. Now, one thing they sometimes do is they make these EZAs weak to whatever the new units are. So obviously Vegito and Gogeta are both on the new Fused Fighters category that both that the LR Super Saiyan 4s have. So maybe that could be one, even though it doesn't fit into the you know, being based on the enemies that they fought, but they could use that to tie into the whole, like, oh, you know, you really want to pull those new LRs if you want to do the actual EZA battle. But I think Transformation Boost is probably the best bet if it's going to be one joint stage for the two of them. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think it will be two separate ones or one joined one? And what do you think the weakness will be? Because again, bear in mind, it has to be something where legendary power is going to be a workable link set, because that's what you need to do damage in an LR EZA. So let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.